welcome back to my channel. My name is Laura and today I'm doing reviews. So I feel like I haven't finished a book in ages. It's like crazy. My mind is so chaotic lately. I've been reading every day, but not so much, and I feel like I'm in a reading slump. But I finally finished my audiobook, so I'm gonna do my review here. And I am closely to finishing 2 more books, so hopefully I'll add it to the end of this. Okay, the book that I finished for my audiobook, I had to take a breather in the middle of the audiobook. The book that I was reading was the second book in the Death series. It's called Glory in Death by J.D. Robb. And I started listening to this one in the month of March for March Mystery Madness, and I just wasn't feeling it, the audiobook. I had the audiobook out from the library. I had the CDs, so I could not fast forward it. I couldn't speed it up. It was very slow. So in the middle of the book, I just wasn't feeling it, and I said to myself, you know what? I'm not in the mood to listen to this anymore, so I put it aside. I renewed it on the library because I had the library thing. I renewed it again for another 3 weeks. And I wound up listening to a nonfiction book, which I already did my review and I finished. And after I finished the nonfiction book, I said, okay, now it's time to go back to Glory in Death and try to finish it. So I don't know what all the hype is about this In Death series. Many people love it. However, I don't know if it's the audiobook or I just wasn't in the mood. It was an okay book. It was meh to me. I gave it 3 stars. I finally finished it. I don't know if I'm going to go on. And if I do go on, I probably will not do audiobook. It probably needs to be physically read. Or, I don't know. Many people love this series. There's something about it. My mind just kept wandering with the audiobook. It was too slow for me to listen to. It did end really well. So it left on a cliffhanger. So I may get the next book just to listen on or read on. But I'm giving this one 3 stars. So yeah, it had its high points and its bad points. I think the audiobook just ruined it for me, but I don't know. It could be because I was in a reading slump. So, yeah. So stay tuned for more reviews. I finally finished another book. This book was a library book, and it was on a wait list. I could not renew it. I am like 2 weeks late. It took me a hard time. It was a struggle to read this week. My mind wanted to do art supplies, and it just wanted to watch TV. It did not want to read, so I had to force myself to read. This is a debut novel. I had it out from the library. The book that I finished is My Lovely Wife by Samantha Downing. Yeah, this book was really, really good. I really enjoyed what I read. My problem was my attention span was just not keeping me there. So I'm giving this one 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. This is a debut novel. I can't believe it's her first book that she wrote. I will definitely be picking up something else if she writes it. And yeah, I am going to try to read the synopsis in the beginning of the book because I don't want to give anything away, because I know that if I do it in my own words, I will give spoilers away. So here we go. It is about, okay, let me do it this way. You may have made some mistakes. You might have done some bad things, but you did them together for each other, didn't you? Dexter meets Mr. and Mrs. Smith in this wildly compulsive debut thriller about a couple whose 15 years marriage has finally gotten too interesting. Every marriage had secrets. Everyone has flaws. Your wife isn't perfect. You know that. But then again, neither are you. You first saw her at an airport. You spent your last $20 to switch seats and sit next to her on the flight home. But it was worth it when you tentatively made your first joke and she laughed. You fell in love. You had kids. You moved to the suburbs. You told each other your biggest dreams and your darkest secrets. and then you got bored. We all have our secrets to keeping a marriage alive. Ours just happens to be getting away with murder. Yes, it was really thrilling, and I really liked it. The whole book is told by the point of view of the husband, and it was really good. So I'm giving it 4 stars. It could have been a little better. I don't know if it's my mindset that was forcing me not to like it as much, but yeah, the last book was a 5-star for me, and this one is 4 stars. So it wasn't as good as my last book, which put me in a reading slump, I think. Anyway, great book. Get it if you can. Get it from the library or get it, buy it. It's really a good thriller. So yeah. I finally finished a book. It's been taking forever to finish a book since the last 5-star book. I think I'm in a reading slump, but I finally finished one. And this one is an auto-buy author of mine. I actually got this from the library, though I did not buy it. But she is a great author, and I've read 2 books by her before. This is my 3rd book that I read by her. And the book that I finished is The Mother-in-Law by Sally Hepworth. Sally Hepworth is an Australian author, and she writes just like Liane Moriarty, which is another favorite author of mine. So I picked this one up because the last 2 books I read by her I really enjoyed, and I gave 5 stars to, so I was hoping that this one would be amazing. I was a little disappointed. So I was thinking that this was a psychological thriller. It starts off where the mother-in-law is actually dead, and then it goes back in time, and it goes back and forth, and you have the mother-in-law and the woman. So yeah, it goes back and forth. It was a little confusing for me. The POVs go back and forth in time. It goes past, present, and it also goes from mother-in-law to Lucy, which is the person who is involved in this thing. So yeah, so it was a little confusing, a little let down for me. I thought it was a psychological thriller. It is not a psychological thriller. It is more like a contemporary. I did hate the mother-in-law. So, yeah. So, I gave this one 3 stars. It wasn't my favorite. It took me a long time to finish it. And, it was just confusing. And it compared to her other books, the other books are so much better. So yeah, this one just was flat for me, so I'm giving it 3 stars.